It's Chris, and we are starting our bike ride today in sunny, beautiful Tempe, Arizona. We're at a place called Tempe Town Lake. Let me turn the camera around. There's my bike. Tempe Town Lake was built here as a man-made lake, obviously. It used to be a dry riverbed. When I was in college, this was just river rock, and as we ride our bike along, we'll see even more river rock. You can see the planes are all taking off this morning. That's where we're gonna go. We're gonna ride down by the airport and check it out. So join me. Today is gonna be a simple ride. I wanted to get started and just kind of talk to you a little bit about why I'm doing this, and hope you enjoy it. Let's get going. I'm gonna hop on the bike and start riding. All right, here we go. Hey, you like my bell?
Hey, you went the other way.
So today it's a beautiful, like 70 something degrees out. It's supposed to hit 80 later. It's about 10:31 in the morning. Well, that's exactly 10:31 in the morning on a Monday, so it should be pretty quiet out here, except for the jets flying overhead. I don't know how much you can hear that. So I wanted to kind of share why I'm doing this bike ride on Mondays, and that's because I am heading into my last year of work. Actually, I'm in my last year of work. I'll be retiring at the end of this year, and I'm taking off every single Monday to see what it'd be like to be retired. Would I find enough to do with my time? And so far, so good. This isn't the first Monday I've taken off. And there's just a few things that I just really love to do. One of them is bike riding. And I'll share a couple of other things that I like as I go along. So I thought if I want to do a YouTube channel, I might as well talk about things that either I like to collect or like to do. And start with the bike ride. So again, this is Tempe Town Lake area. The lake was developed probably back when I was in college, back in the 80s. I remember seeing a model of it. I think that model sits in the architecture building today. And it's much more extensive than that model originally started out as. Originally, I think there were just a few buildings, some restaurants, the lake, and an amphitheater for the football stadium. But now there's high rises on each side of the lake. Coming up on my left here is sand volleyball courts, actual beach with sand. And here's a couple of bridges that go across the lake. And these bridges were here before because before it was a lake, was a dry riverbed that would flood occasionally. So one of the bridges is newer than the other. One is very old, been around for a long time. So we're riding along, right next to me is the freeway. But that's pretty quiet up there. Howdy.
I was like, looking short, so I can.
This is their older bridge, Tempe Mill Avenue Bridge. And I can find and put it in in the video when it was established. And then there's a bridge here for the light rail that goes through Phoenix and Tempe and out to Mesa. And then there's a bridge for trains, which mostly freight trains at this point. I don't think there's any passenger trains coming through here. There's a few people out here on a Monday. It's not too bad. I was actually out here yesterday too, and actually ran into a family member just out of the blue. We turned a corner and there she was with my brother-in-law and my sister. We went for a ride together. It was kind of fun. So tell me, what kind of bikes do you guys like to ride? One of the things that I don't like is that there's these tribes, you know, people, road bike racers, triathlons, mountain bikers, e-bikers, cruisers. I mean, I happen to be riding, I don't know what you would call it, it's a trail, I happen to be riding a bike that's meant to be ridden across the country. Super comfortable metal frame. But I'm just cruising on it. Yeah, let's cross this bridge. Anyway, back to that thought about bicyclists and tribes and groups. You know, there are some people who, you know, swear that you shouldn't have to wear a helmet. There's people who feel like you have to wear padded shorts. There's some who feel like you're gonna have to wear wool and tweed if you're going for a bike ride. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I mean, as long as there are two wheels, it's all good. I see a lot of e-bikes when I'm out on the road now, and it's okay because I have an e-bike. I have a pedal assist bike. A little bit of my history is I've been a bike rider since I was probably in the first grade. Just loved the fact that I could get out and explore the freedom of being on a bike. You go further than you could have by walking. I think my first bike was just a little hand-me-down bike, but then I got one of those Apple Cart Schwinn type bikes, the big handlebars and banana seat, and loved that bike. I rode it around. I used to live in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. I rode it down a hill once and crashed, slid down the hill on my face. Not that necessarily the bike you want to take mountain biking, road, you know, off-road. And I guess I proved that when I was like, you know, first grader. But it didn't deter me from riding bikes. I think some of my favorites I had when I was a teenager, I had a 3-speed Raleigh, you know, the old kind of English professor bikes. I used that for my paper route. Howdy. And then when I was in the 70s and I kind of got the bug like a lot of people, I wanted a 10-speed. I wanted to be in the Tour de France, so I bought myself a used Motobacan, which was way too big for me, but rode it many, many miles. And back then we didn't wear helmets, that's for sure. But I rode that to school and back in high school. And then later in life I got back into cycling and got into it hardcore with carbon fiber racing bike. Had a Specialized Roubaix. I had a cruiser bike. Anyway, I did a lot of those century rides. I used to ride 60 miles a day, just keeping track of how far I went, my cadence, and and my speed. And I don't do that anymore. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just for me. about just riding. I don't care how fast I go or how far I go. It's just getting out there. So 5 years ago, I had a heart attack. And I got 3 stents in my heart. It was like during COVID. And so they could only do 2 at once, and then third one another time, and it put me back a little ways. So when I did get back on a bike, I bought myself a e-bike, e-assist, and I swear the nice thing about an e-bike is just allows you to go further and faster, especially if it's just a pedal assist bike. You just feel like you're invincible. You could ride for 60 miles and not feel it, and you can get there faster. And then when I went back onto this bike, the Surly Long Haul Trucker, which I've had for a while, it felt like I was riding in mud, you know, just like, oh, my legs were just so not used to actually having to exert muscles to move the bike. So I started riding it more often. Now I feel super comfortable on it, of course. I have a folding bike. It's a 24-inch folding bike, the equivalent of a turn node, and I have that with a electric assist switch kit, which is kind of fun. The only difference is that one has a throttle, so like if you get tired, you can just punch the throttle and go up a hill. And you tend to get kind of lazy, like, yeah, here's a hill, let's just cruise. Yeah. Not that you have to be lazy and do that, but it actually can be kind of fun riding it like a moped. So, and I have a Raleigh Grand Lenton from 1958 that I bought from a gentleman in Bisbee, Arizona. He had a store called the Bisbee Bicycle Brothel. Oh, my chain skipped. Bisbee Bicycle Brothel that he was closing. He said he was going to go travel with his wife, and he basically had a museum of bikes there, and let me take one off his hands to empty his store a little bit, and a few prints that he had framed that were just beautiful, and I have up in my house today. Prints that were made by one Tour de France winner, and then another Tour de France winner colored them in, so it's kind of got some really cool provenance on those prints. Maybe I'll show them to you sometime. So if you haven't found out, if you see the jets going by, we're heading down to do a little plane spotting, which is another one of my hobbies. I love plane spotting videos, but I can't see myself doing that. There's somebody who already does it in Phoenix. It's a very time-consuming hobby. I like watching the videos and occasionally riding my bike down here and watching the jets take off. So that's where I'm going today. Sorry about that. Scratch. Man, my bike is smooth today. So smooth. I just recently tuned it up and gave it all, lubed everything up, and man, it's just cruising. So anyway, getting back to the whole health thing, I also had a back issue. I had to have some surgery for that. Oh, what's going on up here? Interesting. Okay. All right. That was interesting, huh? Anyway, so I had back surgery. I took a couple years to recuperate from, learning to walk a little bit better again, and still struggle with that, but I have no problem on the bike. The bike makes me feel normal. I can ride the bike. Unfortunately, I have one more surgery to go, and that's tomorrow for something else, and That'll probably keep me off the bike for a few weeks. I have no idea yet how the recovery is for that. I won't get into it, but this is the bike ride before the surgery. So it might be a couple of weeks before I'm back on the bike and doing a video, but it is what it is. Sucks getting old. On the positive side, soon I won't be working. There's nothing against what I do for a living. It's actually pretty easy. I get paid well for it. But you know, I'm at a desk, sitting at a desk most of the day. People say, oh, you can do a standing desk, or you can just get up and walk around. Yeah, but yeah. Have you ever done that? You wind up working for 6 hours behind the desk and standing for an hour. And not really getting out like this, that's for sure. Now, Arizona is where I'm at. This is Phoenix right now. We just left Tempe and moving into Phoenix. And the weather is absolutely perfect right now. Hopefully it's not too windy on the mic. But it's gonna get hot. And I am gonna be committed to ride bikes on Mondays, even when it's hot. So that means I get out earlier or later. So I was there just the other day and there was nobody, and people have moved back in under that bridge. I don't know how that works. They have a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff. It's too bad. Well, here we are. See, if you look over to my right, you can see the river bottom. This is what the lake used to look like. Just a river bottom. And I'm sure at one time this was a flowing river. But up north, or I should say east, there's a couple of lakes that exist now that, you know, dammed up the river that we use for our, you know, water in the valley, where the water comes from. Arizona's kind of a, you know, not all desert. And just not too far, about an hour away from here, there's actually pine trees. And it gets snow. But the water flows down and fills those lakes, and then they release it and it goes into that Tempe Town Lake. If we get a really good rain, you'll actually see water flowing in this river. Not a lot anymore. I've seen it where, you know, it's covered, but maybe like, you know, half a foot of water. But there is that trench down there where the water goes for the most part. Hey, tell me if this is something you'd like, if you want me to make long bike rides, where if you're on a stationary bike, yeah, you feel like you're on the bike ride watching the video. If you want that, I could do that. Just kind of learning. I mean, I just love bike riding and talking sometimes. So, if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Because I do hope to turn this into a Bike Monday. So when I do retire, bike every day. It's the best part, I think, about having some free time is to be able to stay healthier. So it's kind of confuses me. I guess some people can't stop smoking, so when somebody's riding their bike and they take a break and the first thing they do is light up a cigarette, kind of is a little strange. got a little bit more vegetation here. Kind of nice. Hi. So when I bought this bike, the trucker, I bought it for a 500-mile bike ride because I thought, you know, I need a bike that's going to carry some stuff. We're going to go on a long trek. It was for a charity ride that we're going to do in Florida. We're going to ride from Florida up in the Panhandle over to Orlando. And then it turned into, hey, why don't we ride from Atlanta, which is where our headquarters was, to Orlando, where our yearly meeting was going to be. Then the company said, nope, that's too dangerous. We can't sanction that. And so we did it on our own, but we did it a little differently. We decided to do 500 miles, but we did it all in Tampa Bay. We did a bike ride where we rode 100 miles a day, or close to 100 miles a day, for 7 straight days. And it equaled 500 miles. All for charity. We raised over $35,000 for a charity called Give Kids the World, which in Kissimmee, Florida, they're the ones who grant wishes for Make-A-Wish. Trail. Let's go. I haven't been down this hill. Whee! You know that means I have to go back up, right? Anyway, we raised money for Give Kids the World. Look it up. It's a great charity. They grant the wishes for kids who have, terminal illnesses or other illnesses where they might not necessarily get to do what they want to do. And what I learned is it's not always the kids who get the benefit. It's also the family, brothers and sisters who never get to do anything with their lives because, you know, their little brother or little sister has a terminal illness, and that's where all the money goes. And then for 1 week of the year, they get to go to Universal Studios as a family, and it's just super special. And I volunteered there a couple times, got to meet some of the families and some of the kids. And I remember there was this one kid who came up and he was in a wheelchair, had a breathing tube, and I was helping him to make something. And it's kind of sad. They do a Christmas every Thursday with Santa Claus, and every Thursday Santa Claus and so on, because some of the kids, you know, big Christmas parade. And so we were there in May having Christmas, and this kid was there, and we're coloring on a coloring book, making a little craft kind of a thing. And I asked him, hey, who do you want to see? What do you want to be here? And he goes, I want to go to Universal Studios. I'm like, really? Why? Why Universal Studios? I mean, not Disneyland. Everybody goes Disneyland. He said, because I want to meet Wolverine. I'm like, oh, that's cool, Wolverine. I like him too. And the little kid says, yeah, he can heal himself. And I just had to really hold back the tears. And I just, I realized how lucky we have it sometimes. Poor little kid. I don't know whatever happened to him. Hopefully he was able to heal himself. But there is one room in that place where the kids put stars on the ceilings. They put a star in a mailbox, and the next day they can go and see their star up on the ceiling of this room. And you walk in there and hi, see all the kids' names on the wall, and you wonder how many of them, Anyway, you know what I'm saying. It was very hard, but makes you thankful for the good times that we have. I mean, I've been through some health issues, but with each one I feel like I want to get better, and then this bike riding is helping me to get better. That's for sure. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. Just go a little bit more and we'll turn around. Kind of cool when you're out here and there is absolutely nobody else around. I mean, you can see the cars in the distance and the other roads and places, but it's rare that you even see another cyclist go by here. That's either good or bad, I don't know. Hey, thanks for coming out on this bike ride. It's my second one, episode number 2. My beautiful Belle. And this one we rode to the airport. Saw the planes taking off. Here comes a Southwest 737. Can you see it? Pretty close to over our heads. Anybody else like plane spotting? Anyway, so I'd like to just ask you to like and subscribe if you like what you've seen. I'll be getting better as I do the videos as I go along the way, but thanks for paying attention to this one and watching this one, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.